Welcome to the Marketing Stir podcast by Stirista, probably the most entertaining marketing podcast you're going to put in your ears. I'm Jared Walls, associate producer and Stirista's creative copy manager. The goal of this podcast is to chat with industry leaders to get their take on the current challenges of the market, but also have a little fun along the way. In this episode, Vincent and AJ talk to Howie Zisser and Zach Goldstein of Public Rec. Howie's head of marketing and Zach is CEO and founder. They discuss the challenges of expanding the product line of the leisure apparel brand, as well as the particulars to consider when working with social media influencers. AJ looks forward to a trip to New York, and Vincent, not a fan of open-toed shoes. Give it a listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. It is me, Vincent Pietrafesa of Stirista, the Vice President of B2B Products and Partnerships. That must mean one thing and one thing only, maybe two things. One, we're on a sales call together. That would be weird. Or two, we are on the Marketing Stir. It is so great to be here, ladies and gentlemen. We have a special episode today. You'll find out why. It's only the second time we've done an episode like this. I'm probably stumping my co-host. He may not even know what I mean by this, but we'll get to him in a moment. First, let's pay some bills. Stirista, who are we? Identity marketing company. We focus on helping customers get new customers. We own our own databases, business to business, business to consumer. We have our own technology, our own DSP, Adster. We can generate, display, connected TV. We can help you get new customers, right? Do I even need to say more? Email me, vincent@stirista.com. That is how confident I am. I just gave you my email address. Thank you. The only other thing I'm confident in life, if my wife heard this, she'd be like, wait a minute, really? You're talking about your co-host like this? Is my co-host, my commander-in-chief here at Stirista, CEO of Stirista, Mr. AJ Gupta. What's going on, AJ?
Hey, Vincent. Good to see you again. It's been a little while since we recorded one of these.
I know. We're busy. I was just in San Antonio. I just saw the team, real people, real high fives, real hugs. No more of those weird fist bump and a person sticking out their foot to say hello. I'm like, what are you doing? You have an open toe shoe on. Why would you even do that right now? But yes, it was great to see you in person and the team. I already miss you. I already missed the team.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you and our New York team in about only a couple of weeks now. So we're getting to some normalcy here where I'm seeing you more often than, more than once every year. So.
Look at this, right? Lucky you. It's the Gupta returns to New York City. We're happy to have him in July. So any of our listeners want to meet up with us, email me. I can't guarantee it, but we at least reach out to us. But AJ, do you know why this is the second type of episode that we have? What is so unique about this episode?
I believe we have two special guests instead of one.
See, that's why you're the CEO.
Double the fun.
Double the fun. And this company, man, I got to tell you, some of the softest, best quality fabrics that I don't even know where you source. So don't give that away because that's a whole other thing. We don't want to give all those secrets away. But a company that is doing it right, you got to check them out. Talking about Public Rec, ladies and gentlemen. And we have two amazing guests. I feel like I'm an old man looking at these young. I was like, I'm in my 40s. These guys are, definitely look younger than me. So I'll tell you that now. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to please welcome to the Marketing Stir. First, we have the head of marketing, Howie Zisser, and the founder, CEO, Zach Goldstein of Public Rec. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome them to the Marketing Stir. What's up, fellas? How's it going?
Hey, it's good. Glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
Mm-hmm. And you guys are younger than 42. Yeah, I could tell that, I love it. I love this. Look at this youth, AJ. Youth.
I don't feel it if that means anything.
Vincent doesn't feel a day older than 25. So.
No way. Nor do I act it. No, I have to. I have children. I have small kids, so I have to be an adult sometimes. But it is so awesome having you guys on. Thank you both for joining us. I love that we're going to get two perspectives really, because, one, Howie with the marketing aspect, and Zach, founding, the company. But first, Zach, let's go to you. Tell us about yourself, your role within the organization, and just tell the public out there, what Public Rec is.
Yeah, so I'm the CEO and founder. Started the brand about 6 years ago. We're a leisure apparel brand, mainly direct to consumer, mainly selling through our website. We started with one pair of pants, the all day, everyday pant. It's a nicer fitting pair of, sweatpants. They come in a waist and an inseam sizing, so they fit better. We were, launched the brand, built it over the last 5 years, men's only, and then recently launched women's in December last year. But yeah, excited to be here, and yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, awesome. And then Howie, tell us about yourself, how you, joined Public Rec, or your involvement in it, and some of your day-to-day responsibilities there.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm the head of marketing for Public Rec. So I assume any fast-growing company, wearing a lot of different hats, but spending a lot of my time just overseeing all of our paid channels, digital and offline, from social to search, influencers, affiliate, podcasts, and then also identifying new channels so that we can continue growing and reaching our new customers as we hit new milestones.
And Zach, tell us about how Public Rec started. Is it were you into fashion? Were you just into, like, I really want, there's not a big, there's a need, I should say, for some more leisure wear that looks really good for men. I feel like, men were neglected for many years with this. So I just want to, understand, like, why.
Yeah. So I kind of always knew I wanted to start a company. That was just, a passion I've had for a long time. Throughout college, wearing lots of baggy sweatpants and baggy sweatshirts, and feeling like there wasn't a brand that was focused on updating that type of clothing for men in particular. It was always like a big baggy hoodie with the college logo, or, gray sweatpants. And so, had the idea in college. Didn't pursue it right after college. Went into finance after college, but the idea kind of stuck with me. Continued to think about it, and I, from a young age, always kind of felt comfortable walking into a clothing store and quickly picking out what I thought, looked good and what others might, like. And so I felt comfortable in that space. And yeah, so got to a point where I was feeling okay about pursuing it. Started working on it, figuring out how do you make a prototype, how do you find fabric, how do you make a pair of pants and find factories. And we launched on Kickstarter in May 2015. And that was really the initial launch of the brand.
Zach, through a little bit of how things have changed over time, and especially in the last year, as more people are working from home, has that been a benefit for you?
I think a shift that we were experiencing, before COVID, was just people were dressing more casually. That was just something we were seeing in society beforehand. And as, COVID hits, people start spending more time in home. I think that just kind of accelerated the shift we were seeing towards more casual clothes. A part of the aspect for the brand is that, they're clothes that are comfortable, super comfortable, but you can still feel good about wearing them outside of the house. And so I think now we'll start to see, as people go back into doing things outdoors more, that hopefully the brand is resonating even more, because it's, comfort that you can wear inside your house, but still feel good about taking it outside. Yeah. So I think it was helpful for the brand, and in terms of just, moving society towards more casual, comfortable clothing, and we'll continue to see how it plays out.
Yeah, that resonates with us. We have definitely, we just started returning to office occasionally this week, actually, and our clothing requirements have definitely changed to a much more casual atmosphere now. So it makes sense. Howie, a question for you. How has marketing changed over the evolution of the company? What are some of the goals that have changed for you or not changed?
Yeah. So as we've grown, Zach alluded to earlier, we've expanded our products and also added a women's line. So early on, marketing was pretty simple, of just promoting the all day, everyday pant. That was our only product for a while. And then it was our main product and hero product. And as we've grown, we've added new styles and just different categories entirely that have proved to be winners for us. So just expanding and broadening out the marketing messages and pushing different products. And along with that, as we've grown the product line, we have shorts and joggers and different types there. So working on like seasonality types of things, pushing more of the messaging around the shorts and more summer outfits at this time of year, and then gearing up and ramping back up for pants and bottom season as we head into the fall.
And you know what? I always try to. I consider myself a fashionista just based on the shirt I'm wearing right here. You know what I love? First of all, you mentioned it too, Zach. I love the fact that you could normally, when you get a jogger per se, it's like medium, large, extra large, right? This is tailored to the size so it fits better. I'm a 36 waist. I'm putting that out to the world. I'm not ashamed of it. I love it. Anyway, but I love that fact of it. And also I love the fact what you're doing for the, men and women's line, really, I saw it in the women's line, is the same color. That's very much in, kind of like the sweatshirt and the same color pants. I've seen that. That's really not a question. I'm just saying good stuff. I love where you're going with that. My question is, what made you add the women's line? I love seeing that, and I love seeing the combinations there. But what made it, add it? Was it a result of just people say, hey, what about us? Or what was the thought process behind it?
Yeah, I think we've been getting inbound from women for a long time now. Like, can you make this for us? Can you make, have a women's offering? And so that's a demand that we've felt for a little bit now and felt comfortable kind of testing into and seeing, how the brand would resonate with women. And then, as you mentioned, one of the big things that we've done to differentiate the brand and for the product is offering waist and length sizing, because for men, leisure pants, normally small, medium, and large, often don't fit because of that. And it was, why is it feels like that was being ignored for men. And then as we started to, learn more about the women's space and understand how women shop, it was like, that's the same problem, if not even greater for women, of like, they don't have a waist and inseam. It's one size. So it's like, it often doesn't fit well. It needs alterations, or, or you just need to find the brand that fits you. And so the same kind of problem and messaging that we were trying to solve for men seemed to resonate and transfer to women. And so, spent a bunch of time developing products, spent a bunch of time sharing the product with women, getting feedback, understanding if it was resonating, if the fit was right, and, got comfortable with, it makes sense now for the brand, and kind of went after it. Yeah, like I said, we launched December 2020, worked on it for probably 2 years before that. And we're still, we're still learning, we're still figuring it out, and getting customer feedback and figuring out, what works for women. And yeah, but it's been a great, launch for us, and we're excited to keep growing it.
And what would you say separates your brand in the leisure apparel arena?
Yeah, I mean, so we spend, usually 2 to 3 years before we come out with a product, sourcing fabric and then refining the fit. So, we're incredibly focused on whatever we come out with. We want it to be, perfect and be better than what's out there today and differentiated. So there's a high focus on the product. And then, like, as far as the brand, we try to think of we're sourcing expensive fabrics, and then we try to think of these fabrics being able to transfer, not just for comfort in home, but for comfort outside of home and still look good outside of home. So like the versatility of the brand is something that we try to focus on and make sure that kind of no matter what you're doing throughout the day, you still look good in our stuff. You can go to the gym, you can go to the office, you can go grab drinks with friends or travel in it, and kind of it works for all those different occasions. And yeah, so I mean, we're trying to differentiate it, and yeah.
Zach, walk us through the creative process that goes into creating a clothing item, and what the QA process is, and how does it go from concept to being on your store?
Yeah, so we have a lot of help. We're working with a couple designers who we've worked with for 4 or 5 years. We have a few different production partners, a few different factories, and then a production partner. So we have a lot of different parties that are helping out. But it kind of starts with, I help drive the product. It was something I was always kind of passionate about. So for men's in particular, it's either I'm coming up with what about this, or it's our designer, or someone in the team will surface something and say, a customer has asked about this, or I saw this the other day. What about this for us? So it all starts with, an idea from, anyone we're working with. And then it's like, okay, what's out there today in the market that's similar or to what we're talking about? And how do we do it better or differently? Or if it doesn't exist today, let's talk a little bit more about how we're going to execute on it and why it doesn't exist today. And then, so it's, a lot of just coming up with the product, and then, how does it complement what we have today? Is it for summer? Is it not for summer? Is it a bottom? Is it a top? And then what type of fabric do we want it in? Is it an existing fabric we use today? If not, it's, let's go out and see what else is in there in the market and see fabrics that we like. And, do we like a similar fabric that we want to see in this design or not? And then it's, we're putting together a tech pack, which is like the technical term that you send to the factory that gives them instructions on how to make the product. They send back prototypes. So you send the tech pack to them. You get back a prototype in 3 or 4 weeks. You give comments on it. You find out if you like the fabric that you chose. You end up usually changing the fabric multiple times. You're changing the fit multiple times. It could be a long process back and forth. And then hopefully we got to a point where we're comfortable, the fit's good, the fabric's good. Let's go and make a whole bulk order.
Howie, question for you. Talk to me a little bit about your marketing stack. What are some of the marketing tools that you live by and love and recommend to other people?
Yeah, our marketing stack is pretty basic, honestly. We use a lot of the native platforms, Business Manager for Facebook and Instagram, Google Ads for Google Ads, and then increasingly with the changes in the ecosystem alongside iOS, looking more holistically at Google Analytics and getting kind of like a source of truth, even though it's just last click there, to kind of match up some of the missing data that we're seeing in different platforms with what we're definitely seeing at the very least in Google Analytics through last click. So that kind of gives us a North Star to direct us and guide us forward about where to allocate budgets in the coming weeks and months.
And Howie, staying with you, have there been things that marketing wise that you've done in the past that you thought were really going to work that didn't? And then that same thing, kind of what surprised you about some channels, right? Was it, one day so-and-so wearing your thing where that, an influencer by accident wore it, or, talk to me about some of those, that process, if you will.
Yeah, trying to think specific examples of anything. I think like with just generally speaking, like with influencers, there's just a lot of work that needs to go into it. It can be, especially like early on as we got into it, it can be exciting when someone has a large follower account or something like that, and looks like a good fit for the brand and everything, but maybe just doesn't perform for whatever reason, or interests weren't maybe aligned. So that has been a learning process, just figuring out exactly what it is whether it's an influencer or affiliate or other partner, looking for what the metrics that matter are. And it's not so much about some of the more vanity metrics like follower account, and even sometimes engagement rate can be misleading. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that have gone really well that were a little bit of like a cross your fingers and let's hope, is we've done a lot of podcast testing, and within there, we find winners, we find losers, of course, but we've seen a lot of success from the ones that have won. And it's also nice just anecdotally when we hear from our own networks of people listening to a particular podcast and they stumble across our ad. It's just nice to see stuff in the wild like that. And we'll get the occasional tag from a celebrity or an athlete, which is always fun for us to see, and is a nice pat on the back and cool for us to see it at the moment.
Well, that's awesome. And, Zach, we've talked to a lot of different companies and brands on the podcast. And I say this as this is okay if this is the case, because we have some brands who throughout the pandemic it boomed, right? Or increased sales because they're solving a solution, right? We had a company on called Make Space, and people were just like, what do I do with all this stuff? I may move, I might not. But because more people, I think in general, just like, all right, well, I'm going to be at home, leisure, I still need to look good, but I want to be comfortable. Did that quote unquote help the brand?
Uh, I was going to say, I think it hurt us a little bit. We grew year over year. I don't think we grew at the rate we otherwise would have. We were fortunate to still grow, and fortunate, that we didn't have to fire anyone and incredibly fortunate with all that. But I think in general, for our main customer, men who are staying home, we still saw some people who, were buying our stuff, and that was great. But I think it felt like the majority were more towards the, I'm going to be home. It doesn't really matter what I look like. I'm not sure I need to buy new clothes. And then there's some uncertainty in the job market, or, what my disposable income might look like going forward. So it's like, do I need to buy new clothes, or should I, keep it for things like food or whatever, more, and more immediate needs. And so, I think we suffered from that a little bit. But yeah, candidly, it's hard to tell how much one impact had versus the other, of like, people wanting to be comfortable and how they viewed our product.
No, interesting perspective. Yeah.
Zachary, have you looked at going direct to retail or opening even your own retail stores?
Yeah, we had just opened one November 2019 in New York, and we had it open for about 5 months. We closed it because of COVID, and then ended up, being done with it. But we're in the process of, we're going to be opening a couple more stores. We're opening one in Chicago in September. We're opening one in October in New York, and then another one in California next quarter, or early next year. But so we're excited about, getting back into stores and opening stores. And then as far as, other retailers, we have a partnership with Nordstrom that's relatively new for us. We're in 15 Nordstrom stores. And so we're excited about trying to grow that partnership together. And we have a good partnership with Stitch Fix as well. And so those are two channels that we're pretty focused on growing over the coming years, both, our own retail stores and then working with other retailers as well.
Great. This is a question for both of you, and we'll start with Howie. What's been a highlight for you in the last few years that you're particularly proud of, either professionally or individually?
Good question. I think just professionally for the last year or so, I think we had made a big effort to bring a lot of our creative talent and our media spend and media buying in-house, and that was a big push. It took about a year to kind of get there, but we have a pretty substantial creative team now that puts out all of the ads and all of the different creatives you see all across the web that look so good and so awesome all the time. And I think that has just given us a little bit more control on the brand and the creative and some of the tone and messaging that we maybe didn't have before. So that was a lot of work. That was a lot of adjustment, but it's gone, I think, pretty well so far, and we're still refining it and growing and building out of there.
And same question for you as well, Zach.
I think, I'm most proud of, or what what comes to mind immediately is just kind of the team that we have at Public Rec, and thinking about, we're a team of 17 today, and we've everyone who works here, cares a lot, works hard, is fun to be around, and I feel fortunate for the people we have, and it feels like we're all aligned on a common goal of really, growing the brand and doing good work together.
Zach, tell me about when you started the company and through the evolution, what were some things that you thought were going to be easy but wound up being hard, and then hard that wound up being easy?
Easy that wound up being hard. It was hard to have an expectation on it being easy, but something that was up, I guess, a lot harder than I anticipated was just managing fulfillment. We worked with a few different fulfillment partners. It's always been just very challenging. And so, managing returns, managing orders going out on time, making sure our inventory is, not being misplaced and being handled correctly. All of that has been, it can be stressful. And then something that ended up being easy that I thought was going to be hard, I have to give that more thought.
It's all right. We get deep here on the marketing Stir. People don't realize that. They, that could be your final thought at the end. And Zach, talk to me about the kind of the evolution of the company in the sense of where you started, right? It was the first few years, just kind of you in an apartment. And then when did it kind of, all right, I'm adding employees. This is starting to click for us.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, the first few years, ran the business by myself and, trying to get to a point where it was self-sustaining, where I felt like we could support hiring people. But was very nervous to do it in the beginning, to hire outside, and wanted to make sure that the business was working and that we had a customer base. And so in the beginning, we do this Kickstarter. The Kickstarter goes well. I end up moving from Chicago to New York. We manufacture in New York. So I'm living in New York, a couple blocks from the factory. So I'm visiting the factory a few times a day. And I'm visiting the fulfillment center, which was in Brooklyn a few times a week. Both were a few times a week. And, handling customer service, responding to emails as people get this, anyone has questions. The returns are coming to my apartment, though, once a week. I'm steaming returns in my apartment, folding them, putting them in new poly bags, and then bringing them back to the fulfillment center, so that they can be put back into inventory for those that were, in fine quality. And then just in the beginning, working with a lot of different freelancers, agencies, and then fortunately got to a point where, the brand was a little bit bigger, it was growing, and started hiring people 2.5 years ago. And we've kind of grown the team ever since.
Like any news or something that's coming up, maybe a new design that you'd want to share with the viewers?
We've got, so our best sellers are really the all-day everyday pant, all-day everyday jogger. We offer them in a lot of colors today, 8 or 9 colors. We haven't added new colors in a few years. We're adding a couple new colors this fall, so we're excited to do that. That'll, differentiate, from what's currently being offered in our colors, and, excited for that. And then that's really, and then we're excited for the store opening, that, we're going to be opening our first store, or really our only store, but we're reopening, I guess, in Chicago. And we're excited for that as well.
Great. And Howie, a question for you, and then I'll come back to Zach for the same question. So one of our staple questions here is, what's a message on LinkedIn that gets a response from you, and what's one that really annoys you?
Good question. A good message, it's probably what most people think, but is personalized. There's something in there that is specific and relevant to me, and it's more than just like a canned type of thing of, I saw we went to the same college, but something a little bit more in depth than that. And then also, I hope to be pretty clear on what it is you're trying to talk about in that message. And then on the flip side of it is when I read the message and I have no idea what they're asking for, and they want a 30-minute meeting, and I don't know what the meeting is going to be about, so it's hard to do that. And then the other one is a big pet peeve of mine, is when someone reaches out saying that they're a huge fan, they love our products, and they've never bought from us. I can see that, and it's just a little fluff to gain some favor, but might backfire on them.
That's funny. Then you can like look them up. You're like, actually, do you use a different name when you purchase our products? I looked it up. You haven't purchased anything. Yeah, I love that.
And same question for you, Zach.
Yeah, I think similar to Howie, if it's personalized, that'll get my attention. If they name, a competitor that they've worked with and they talk, that I'll always pay attention to. And then and then the flip side of when it's, not as great of a message as either if it's, you can tell it's, a canned, they say it to everyone, or it's like they misspelled my name, either one of those. And it's like, okay, probably not a great connection.
Well, Zach, you said something there. So if someone mentions a competitor, does that pique your interest? Okay, maybe they know something, that sort of thing, or is it okay? Well, I want a fresh perspective. What is it that of the mention of the competitor that gets your attention?
If they say like, I worked with, X brand, or we've done this for X brand, and it's a brand that, we follow or think highly of, or, is someone that we look to, then it's like, okay, maybe it's, worth having a conversation, understand what they did for that brand, understand if, they could add value for our brand. And yeah.
And then if you're Howie goes in and does the research and make sure that they actually work with that brand. So
Right.
They're just not saying anything, awesome.
There are a lot of companies who have the logos of brands they may or they worked with many years ago. And it's like,
yeah, they haven't worked with it in like 14 years. And it's like, well, yeah, you worked with it at one point, but at least so you may
Right.
have some insight. So are there not competitors, but are there other brands out there as a whole? Because we talk to a lot of people on the retail side, like, as you're, opening up the stores where they have to do something different, right? I'm fortunate to be in New York City where most of the flagships are. So I get a different kind of experience than say someone like, in San Antonio, maybe the store is different, right? So how do you think retail has changed, and why the stores now? Why do you feel like people want the physical stores? I know I do. But talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. I think part of it for us was like feeling like we were big enough as a brand to support it both financially and then like, existing customer base, or hopefully new customers that maybe had heard of the brand before but didn't want to order online, wanted to check it out in store. So we were just kind of on that cusp of feeling like we're big enough where, if we open a store in a certain location, if someone walks by, maybe they'll have heard of the brand before. And if or if not, and we talk about it or put it on our website, it might drive traffic towards the store. But I think always kind of interested in stores and thinking like it could be a good channel for us. Then we had that test in New York where we were open for 5 months and that was going well. And then like we are so focused on the fabrics and making sure that it's super high quality and premium. So it's like, if a customer can shop it in store and feel the fabrics before they're purchasing it, it's just such an added benefit to interacting with a brand and understanding what we're about as a brand.
And then just last one, AJ, I know before we get to you, just are there, doesn't have to be retail, that just are there brands out there now that you feel are just they're getting it right? There's like the personalization. There's some brands out there who are getting it right that you like to kind of aspire to.
Yeah, Howie, you want to go first, or did you direct it at me? Sorry, I apologize.
No, either one. Yeah, this is we got the dynamic duo here. So whatever whoever wants to jump in.
Trying to think how to take it.
I can throw, Allbirds.
If there's any airlines out there like offering a personal touch, like, I feel like that personal touch, what I'm going with is I feel like that personal touch, the connectivity to the client, the customer is so important. So, is there like, well, I feel like American Airlines or some other company, like, a brand is getting it right, and or our mission is to X, get back to the customer quick, however you want to take that. I told you we get deep here. At the marketing stir.
The one brand like this is maybe as generic or I feel like everyone, I just think Warby Parker provides a really good experience for customers. You know, if something ever goes wrong, my dad can't, you know, he's always talking about the brand because of the customer service. And so like, you know, that evangelism of, you know, he loves talking about the brand. He loves wearing the glasses and then like talking about his experience buying the glasses because they've always just provided a great customer experience. Even if something goes wrong, it's like they immediately fix it and he's happy with the resolution. But yeah,
Good. I love it.
I have a kind of a different one, I guess. Not so relevant to what we do in apparel, but I'm a big fan of Airbnb and use them a lot. And to see kind of like the pivot they made during COVID, where they made it so much easier for like local getaways and weekend getaways that are more road trip oriented when no one could really travel, just spoke to, you know, how they looked at their customers and how they were willing and able to kind of change things to make it a little bit more accessible and more appealing to them. And at least it worked on me.
Nice. Now AJ's going to get into the personal side.
Well, one other work question, and then we'll get into the personal side. Related to kind of the personal touch, you know, how many, or I guess, is there a large percentage of users that are repeat customers, and how do you guys keep your CRM base engaged?
You take it, Howie.
Okay. Yeah. So as the company has grown, we've seen stronger and stronger repeat rates just year over year as that customer base itself continues to grow. And then as we've expanded our product line and added the women's line in, just more options and opportunities to buy something, whether it's multiple colors of the pair of pants or it's a top to go with the pants to complete an outfit. So yeah, I think that's kind of the main. Zach, anything to add there?
Just the, yeah, and then like CRM stuff and we've been building the email list. We're, you know, sending, you know, email updates are relevant and yeah, I think something we talk about a lot internally is, you know, how many times trying to email our customers, and you know, we don't want to flood their inbox. We want to remind them that we exist. We have information that we think they might be interested in about, you know, a new product, a back in stock email. So that's just, you know, a continual debate and test of like, you know, how do we talk to our customers through email?
So last question from my end. What do you guys like to do in your free time? And we can start with you, Zach.
I like to golf, definitely over summer. I try to play as much as I can. I have a pretty big family, so spend time with them otherwise.
And Howie, same for you?
Living in Chicago, always been a strong proponent of the best way to see the city is to eat your way through it. So just going out to dinner, lunch, whatever it is, trying different foods. And especially after this last year, I feel very out of the loop on what all the cool restaurants are and the new restaurants are. So excited to kind of get back out there and explore the different neighborhoods of the city and eat some good food.
Nice. Yeah, I enjoyed my time when I was in Chicago. You know, many times I had a crazy Chicago. I flew out, and at the airport, I'm a Chicago Bulls fan, even though I grew up in New York. Flying out at the airport, Scottie Pippen. And at dinner with my friends, Gino's East, it was Brian Urlacher right next to us. I got to meet two Chicago legends in like one trip. It was amazing. And I mean, I didn't get any autographs or anything, but it was just like, I got to say hello to them. I was like, this is insane. If Michael Jordan walks in, or like, you know, this will be amazing. So it was pretty cool. Zach, one question for you. So you lived in New York and you moved back to Chicago. I've never met anyone who's done that before, because people, they love New York City. So tell me what happened there. How did you move? What made you move back from New York to Chicago?
I was going to be there temporarily. I'm from Chicago, from the suburbs. My whole family's here. So I always knew I wanted to come back. I was planning to only be there for 5 months. I ended up staying for 9 months. But yeah, I knew I wanted to be in Chicago. I knew I wanted to build the company in Chicago. And so both great cities. I won't give pros or cons for both of them, but yeah.
I know. I'm just messing with you. That's awesome. That's where the family is. You started the company there. This has been awesome, gentlemen. Please check out publicrec.com. That's public and then rec.com. And I can't wait till the store comes here in New York. I am right here. Would love to go visit it. That is Howie Zisser. He is the head of marketing. That's also Zach Goldstein. He's the CEO and founder. I am Vincent Petrofessa. That's Mr. AJ Gupta. This has been another episode of the Marketing Stir. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Stir podcast by Stirista. Please like, rate, and subscribe. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, email us at themarketingstir@stirista.com. And thanks for listening.